Hello, hello. So, this is probably going to be one of the most important topics that I cover on my channel here. This is a real occurrence that happened to me, and I feel like I'm still recovering from, to be honest, and it's actually an ongoing situation. And it's kind of personal, but I don't know. But it's also very important, and so I feel like the world needs to know. And in lieu of the opening weekend of the sequel to Wicked, I wanted to share. I've wanted to make this video for a while because I noticed when I watched the first Wicked movie, um, seeing Elphaba's story arc and what she went through, I was like, man, this reminds me exactly of what I went through a couple years ago. So yeah, so I just wanted to share it, and I was gonna release this video closer to Halloween, and like where I've got my Elphaba glasses on, but I was also gonna put on like a witch hat and do a whole thing for Halloween, but I decided to wait. But yeah, I figured like it's opening weekend of the sequel, which I just saw a couple days ago. It's really good. I recommend it. And yeah, I mean, the Wicked movies are amazing. I have not seen the musical, by the way. I haven't seen the musical or read the book. So, what I'm going to talk about and the similarities between me and Elphaba, this is going to be based off of the movie solely because that's all I've seen of Wicked. I'm hoping I'll see the musical eventually. I really want to see it. I've wanted to see it for years. But yeah, this is based off of what happened in the movie, specifically in the first movie. Um, so if you don't want any spoilers, if you're unfamiliar with Wicked and you plan to see it, there might be some spoilers of the first movie. I won't include any spoilers of the second movie, although I have seen that too. But this is just gonna be based off of the first movie for the most part. But I don't know. Spoiler alert, and, generally there might be some spoilers. Um, so yeah. Um, so I'll just talk about what happened to me first, and then I'll sort of like, tie it. I'll circle back and like tie it into, what happened to Elphaba and just, get into like the similarities, because it really is crazy. Um, so a couple years ago, well, so if you all have watched my other videos, you may know that I have a brother with autism. I think I may have mentioned it a few times by now. And my brother, he's actually older than me. He's in his 40s, and he has level 4 autism. So he cannot communicate. Like he may like repeat certain words here and there, and he understands quite a bit, but he doesn't communicate like the way that that you and I do. um and yeah, so he's not able to talk to other people, yeah, communicate. He's not able to advocate for himself. He's not able to make decisions for himself or anything like that. But he is physically able. He's physically able-bodied, and he gets around fine and stuff like that. He just has he is he has a mental he's mentally challenged, basically. Um and yeah, so and he is with a assisted living company right now. He's been with that company for 2 years, a little over 2 years now. And when he first joined that company, I actually decided to reapply. I had worked for this company in the past and then left years ago. And then when my brother was joining this company, I decided that I was going to apply to work at this assisted living company as his staff so I could work in his home with him. This is an assisted living company where all of the clients live in different homes or in different apartments, and they have staff around the clock that works with them to, help them tend to their needs, in some cases bathe them, feed them, all this stuff. It's assisted living support. So yeah, so I decided to come on as my brother's staff member to sort of like help him with the transition from my parents' home into his new home with under this company. Yeah, to help him with the transition. Um, and another important detail of this is that this company is owned by my uncle. Uh, Not only is it owned by my uncle, but there are several family members who are employed under this company. Um, and So yeah, I was working with my brother for a period of time, and I'm just gonna talk about, what I'm not gonna come to any conclusions on here. I'm not going to verbalize any conclusions. I'm just going to talk about what I experienced and what I discovered and what I went through while at this company that is, again, run and, owned by family. Um, so I was working with my brother, I was specifically working the morning shift with him, 7 to 3. And so I would leave after my shift, and then the second shift person would come in, and then there would also be someone who worked with him overnight. Um, and I don't know. So to fast forward a little bit, about a month in of me working with this company with my brother, because it was a big deal for him to transition from my parents' house to this company. He had always lived with my parents, and but yeah, but his with the issues that he has. My parents getting older. Also, around this time, my mother had already been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. She was deteriorating. So yeah, it was just getting really difficult to handle all of that and have my brother all under the same roof. So my father ultimately made the decision to put him with this company. Um, but yeah, so a month into me working, uh, with my brother in his home, everything was going fairly well, up until November, a couple years ago. I okay, so let me backtrack just a little bit. So the staff in the house had been complaining that my brother wasn't sleeping well at night. And I guess like that was a problem for the overnight staff, even though, they're supposed to be awake to, to monitor him and, make sure that he, if he gets up and uses the bathroom, to make sure that he doesn't make a mess in the bathroom, which he tends to do. They're supposed to be awake. They're working. They're supposed to be awake overnight. And I don't think that that was happening. So the staff member was complaining that my brother was not sleeping well at night, and I guess, like, causing too much work for her, causing extra work for her. And so, yeah, I just been hearing about, these complaints about him not sleeping at night. Um, and so that was happening. I took note of that. And then eventually one morning when I came into work to relieve the overnight person, because I think there were at least 2 to 3 people that had worked with him overnight up until this point. The staff worked sort of like rotating or whatever for whatever reason. Um, and um, so sorry, I could hear something outside. Um, yeah, so one morning after relieving the overnight staff, I came I was cleaning, I think, the table or something like that, in the dining area of his house, and I found a pill. I found a pill that said Unisom on it. So it was a Unisom sleeping pill. I had to look it up because I saw Unisom on it, and I was like, okay, like that sounds familiar to me. Let me look it up and see what exactly that is. And yeah, sure enough, it's an over-the-counter sleeping pill. And he had not been my brother. He has a few medications that he takes. One for his mood. He has like a pill that he takes for his allergies. Stuff like that. Um, and but yeah, Unisom was not a pill that had been prescribed to him, um, not since he had not since he had joined the company, nor was he taking anything like that before he joined the company. All the prescriptions that he was taking at that time were prescriptions that he had already been on before joining the company. Um, and so yeah, so I found this pill, and you know, obviously, considering the situation and the complaints that I had been hearing about, it really didn't sit well with me or look good that I find, this pill on the dining room table, because there was a tablecloth on this table that had like a print, some sort of like decorative print on it over the dining room table, and the tablecloth, it had the pill itself was blue, like a light blue color, and the tablecloth also had some blue on it. So it seemed to me that like somebody had like left it there on accident, is what it seemed. I don't know. But it looked like, obviously the pill was not intended to just be left there. It's actually a really big deal. For it's actually really not good for pills to not just be lying around, obviously. In a home like that. And so yeah, so I came across this pill. I picked it up. I looked at it, and it didn't sit well with me. And what I did was I immediately told my brothers, or not immediately, but I notified my brother's program coordinator, who was technically my boss or my supervisor. And I let her know that I found it, and I was just like, I don't know what to do, but I just wanted to bring this to your attention. It doesn't sit well with me, considering the fact that it's a sleeping pill, and the staff has been complaining that my brother is not sleeping. So I'm just like, okay, I really don't want to. It's not looking good, but yeah, if nothing else, I want to bring this to your attention, which was the right thing for me to do, by the way. There was no other, there was nothing else for me to do but notify his program coordinator. And I say that because what happened after that was the program coordinator then notified the other staff working in the house that, hey, this pill has been found, and to let the, basically, like, for them to see what's going on, and to get to the bottom of who left that pill on the table, why is it there, and yeah. And at the time, I don't entirely remember, but there were two other women working in the house at that time, um, and they were both. One of the women working in the house were actually, this is how much family is like intertwined in this company. One of the women working in that house was the mother-in-law of one of my cousins. My cousin is married to her son. Um, and yeah, yeah. My cousin is married to her son. So not only was she working in the home, I found out later that my brother was specifically put in that specific apartment because this woman, who was the mother-in-law of my cousin, who is family by marriage, obviously I'm not going to say her real name, obviously, but I'm just going to call her Nancy. She actually lived right upstairs from my brother's apartment, and I found out later on that my brother was actually placed specifically in that apartment because she already lived upstairs, and they had her in mind to be his staff because I think like she had experience working for like a different company somewhere else. She had like years of experience or something, and she was just like generally a good caretaker, so they had her um strongly in mind to work with my brother. So she was one of the other staff that was working in the house, Nancy. And then there was another lady who I'll call her Mary. She was actually the sister to the human resources person of the company. I believe that is her title. But she was the sister to somebody who is working in the office, in my uncle's office. This human resources person is not family. What can I call her? I'm gonna call her Jocelyn. Jocelyn, the human resources person, she is not family, but I just want to add that important detail that Mary, who was working in the house, was the sister to Jocelyn, who works in the office and has a pretty high position in the office as a human resources person. And I think she does other things as well, like important functions. One second. Okay. Okay, have a good night. Love you. Oh, were you calling me? Yes. No, no, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Okay, love you too. You too. Like I said, I'll come check with you at 8. Okay. Okay, have a good night. Okay. All right. I was just saying good night to my dad. Um, I might try and edit that out. Where was I? Okay, so both people who work in this home, both of the other women who were working in this home at the time. There may have been other staff who were also working in the house at that time, but it was mainly me and these two other women who, like I said, were pretty well connected to other people who were working, who had higher positions at my uncle's company. Um, because the woman Nancy who lived upstairs, um, who, like I said, is the mother-in-law to my cousin, who is family by marriage, she was specifically picked, I think, by one of my aunts, who also works at my uncle's company. She's one of the people who has like a pretty solid high position in the company, who works like in the office. Um, so yeah, sorry, there's a lot of parts to this story, so please bear with me. Um, so yeah, to sort of summarize things, tension grew in that house between me and these two other women who were working in the home with me as his staff. One of them, Nancy, was the one who worked overnight shift, who worked overnight, the third shift. The third shift. Uh, she was working third shift at the time, overnight, and then Mary was working, I think, second shift. And I think she might have been working second shift along with someone else, but I can't quite. She had to have been. Um, but yeah, so yeah, but since me finding that Unisom pill and um, notifying my brother's program coordinator with under the company, you know, she then brought that issue to the staff and said, like, hey, this pill was found. I guess, like, kind of letting them know what's going on, or trying to figure out what's going on, why it was found there. And yeah, so then the staff got upset with me for letting the program coordinator, I'm just going to call her PC, they got upset with me for telling the PC that I found the pill. Like, they got upset with me that I went to her before going to them, which is not how that works at all. Even if I did go to them first, I wouldn't have gotten an honest an honest answer. Because to this day I still don't know why that pill showed up in the house. I still don't know how it got there. I have my suspicions of who brought it there, but again, I'm not going to voice that. All I can say is that I found a pill. I let the appropriate person know about it, and that it caused tension between me and the people in the house eventually, because they're mad at me because I didn't go to them first, so they could potentially lie to me, most likely. And I got upset because not only did after that day, I forget like the order of things, but all I remember is that, like, one day, not too long after I found the pill, I got to work one day. Both of those women, Nancy and Mary, were already in the home when I came in to work for my shift. I'm not sure why both of them were there, because both of them weren't supposed to be there. Uh, there was only one person who needed to relieve me, so I don't. Oh, I think one person was like, I think Mary was like waiting for her ride or something. I don't remember. But I just remember, like, I came to work one morning and neither of them were talking to me. I think Nancy had opened the door for me and I said hello to her or whatever, and she didn't respond. And then I was just like, okay. And then I walked like into the living room or whatever, and then uh, um, I don't know. There was just a vibe in the house of just like, after she didn't say anything to me, I was just like, okay, like there's tension there. And then Mary also wasn't speaking to me, like when I came into the house and she was there. So I was just like, okay, I guess like we're not speaking to each other. Again, like it's odd, like for why am I getting the silent treatment if nothing was going on and you all are, they were claiming their innocence. Everybody was claiming they had no idea where the pill came from, but it's like, okay, so why am I getting a silent treatment now? So yeah, and that kind of, I'll be honest, like that, me getting the silent treatment from my coworkers after that pill incident, I was already like on edge after finding the pill. But then like me getting the silent treatment from them and getting like the animosity and like just like the bad energy that I was getting from them, that also put me on edge. That also kind of I had an attitude about that, I'll be honest. And so the way I reacted to that, I was just like, okay, like, I don't care if, y'all aren't speaking to me. I didn't actually say that, but I was just like, okay, like that's fine. I just went about like, I think like I when I that particular morning, I just went about doing my job. I went and like started like making breakfast for my brother. And yeah, and I just remember like I did like have I had an attitude. I was just like, okay. I was just like not slamming things, but I was just noticeably aggravated. I'll say that. Yeah, because I'm just like, first of all, both of you aren't supposed to be here, and it's like you all are like, pointedly trying to make some sort of a point by not speaking to me and making me feel alienated. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things. So yeah, so I just yeah, I just continued doing my job. And this whole campaign of them giving me the silent treatment continued on for days. And yeah, it really put me on edge. And just long story short, it caused enough tension between me and those other two, specifically those other two women, to the point where we had a meeting. Because I think one of them like tried to get me in trouble by saying that like I was making them feel uncomfortable in the work environment, even though I wasn't doing anything. I'm not even lying right now. They weren't speaking to me, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to speak to you all either. So I don't know if it triggered them that I wasn't bothered by them not speaking to me, but this is kind of like where like this smear campaign started against me that just turned into a virus, um that just made a bad situation even worse, because not only am I not getting answers as to why there was a sleeping pill in my brother's house, after people are complaining that he's not sleeping. And not only that, I noticed some very odd behavior from my brother after finding the pill as well. After bringing the pill to my PC's attention, I was seeing very strange behavior from my brother, as if he was under the influence of something, as if he had been given something. Now I don't, obviously I don't have any real proof aside from finding that pill, but all I'm saying is I noticed some strange behavior from my brother for days after that, days after me finding the pill, after me bringing it to my supervisor's attention. It continued on. And then like I said, like the tension between me and my coworkers, it was just getting, I guess it was becoming so palpable. They weren't speaking to me. I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to talk to y'all either. And somehow that turned into us having to have like a house meeting with me and my two coworkers, um, Mary's sister, again, Jocelyn, who's the human resources person. She came to the house. My aunt, have to assign a name for her. My aunt, let's say Vivian. My aunt Vivian, she also came to the house for the meeting. And this is the same aunt who I think recommended Nancy, the one who works upstairs, who was family by marriage. I think she's one of the people who like recommended that my brother work with her. Um, and Yeah, my brother's PC was also at that house meeting, and then another lady that works in the office attended the meeting via phone, like we had her on speakerphone. And during this meeting, um, we were trying to get to the bottom of like the meeting was all about. I thought that the meeting was going to be about why the pill was in the house and us getting to the bottom of it and kind of like, I don't know, like starting an investigation because that's what's supposed to be done in a circumstance like this when a random pill, over the counter or not, it's a sleeping pill, it's very serious. My brother has other medications that he takes, and yeah, I think I was pretty, justifiably upset finding a pill like that after the staff is complaining that my brother isn't sleeping and he's on other medications. And if he's, in the scenario that someone is like slipping him this pill, it could negatively interact with the medications that he's already taking, that he's prescribed. And like I said, I was seeing very strange behavior um from my brother and the way that he was acting and in his demeanor. He did seem drowsy and just like cloudy headed. It seemed like he was getting headaches because there were some days where he was like holding his head. And I've documented all of this, by the way. Um, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, so I will probably create a part two to this. I did not want this video to be this long. Um, so I think I'll just stop there and then I'll get into what happened at the meeting and just like the aftermath of the meeting forward and how I am still sort of grappling and dealing with the situation and the solutions that I'm looking at for it. Because, like I said, this all happened a couple years ago, and I'm trying to see what I can do to look out for my brother because that's what this has been about the entire time. I just want to protect my brother because where I'm at now, I'm no longer working with that company because of what I was dealing with um behavior wise from the staff. I was basically being psychologically abused, mentally abused. That might sound ridiculous, but it's a very real thing. It's a very real thing. The work environment became very uncomfortable for me, all stemming from the fact that I found this pill. This all started after I found the pill. Very strange behavior started happening after I found this pill, and it never really stopped. So I'm gonna get into more of all of that. Um, and if you, I like I said, I kind of wanted to kind of get into the Elphaba parallel, but maybe you can already see it if you've seen the movie. But I think I'm just going to stop this here and then I'll start a new video and yeah, I'm just going to continue in a new video. So.